If you got a question, you send it into bympod@gmail.com. If you leave a question and you like and you ring the bell and you subscribe and you leave a comment in the section to help the algorithm, we'll do even more shows. In fact, down the line, we're hoping to go back to 2 shows a week. So there you go. Without any further ado, Brian, after the hiatus that we had,
we got a few questions today.
All right, well, let's go.
We do. This one is from regular BYM contributor Hayden Melisone.
What's up, BYM? Hayden Melisone, New Orleans, Louisiana here. Got a question. This has always kind of bothered me. Everybody talks about how John Jones shouldn't be in this GOAT conversation because of the steroid allegations. But nobody talks about Towelgate, like Daniel Cormier missing weight by a significant amount because he put his hands on that towel and pushed. Like, that gives him a significant advantage, right, over his opponent who had to make the sacrifices and make the cut. So, like, what are we doing? Why do we laugh at DC when he cheats and then damn other people when they cheat? Cheating's cheating. It's unfair advantage in a sport that can have serious consequences. Let me know your thoughts.
Right. They're very, very different. They're very different, man. Look,
that
listen,
was my mind.
If you've never made weight, if you've never had to endure the brutality and the misery of a weight cut, we all know, Paul, if there's an opportunity where you could cheat the system a little bit, you will. DC tried it. He got away with it, right? More money, more power to him. Had they have caught that, he'd have gone away and he would have endured a bit more misery and probably would have shaved off the other pound or whatever it was, because it can't have been too much. I forget what the original weight was before he put his hands on, right? Yeah. He probably would have made weight, okay? He just saved himself a bit more misery, one would assume. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he would have made weight. We don't know that, but I would say that he would. He's a wrestler who's used to cutting weight.
Yeah,
taking steroids is a very different thing.
Different. Yeah, we're talking, you're upping the level of everything that you're going through in camp, from recovery to being leaner, doing more reps, more training if you're taking steroids versus you maybe get away with a pound or so on the scale. I think they're drastically different situations. But he's right. Cheating is cheating. And listen, they changed how they weigh these guys in because of DC. So in a way, DC has helped the system and learned from their flaws. And now they do that big tent thing around them so that they can't touch it and make them put their hands up in the air so that he can't get away with it.
Yeah, he helped the game. Brian, what else?
We have a question here from another longtime contributor. This one is from Doug.
Hi guys, my question is for Mike and for Paul. It's all about cornermen. Whenever you watch team sports, football or whatever, there's always managers shouting at the side of the pitch. And I always think, well, the training's done. They probably can't even hear what you're saying, let alone put it into practice. So it got me thinking about MMA. How important is it to have cornermen? Could you actually just go back to your corner on your own with a stool, a towel and a bottle of water and be all right? Or does it just completely depend on the fighter? And the other question I had, if it's all right, was, Mike, you are massively English. You've lived in America for ages, but when you make references to Banana Man, the cartoon and stuff, I absolutely love it. And I just wondered what you miss the most about life in the UK or English people generally. All right, cheers, guys.
Paul, take it away.
Yeah, that was good stuff there. And that's a good question, especially in terms of the coaching and what are you really getting out of it? And I think he kind of answered a little bit out of himself that it's fighter to fighter. And I think situation to situation, depending on the arena. Are we in the Apex or are we in a sold out pay-per-view arena where the main event is got everyone riled up and there's just people screaming? I think the support is also what really helps fighters. These are the people that have been there with these guys all throughout training camp, just instilling all of these things that you've drilled every single day. So even if you're not hearing every bit in between when you're actually fighting, but when you get to that corner and you've got a connection with a good coach and they look you in the eyes, they can bring things up, they can motivate you. If you had just had a stool and a bottle of water there waiting for you, you wouldn't get any of that. You'd feel more down and out. You'd feel, more pain. You'd start to be more tired. Whereas you have the right coaches and support people around you also for technical advice, especially the later you are in your career. I think you really can take in little tiny things and think about that going into the next round and look for it. But more than anything, even if none of that works, certain coaches know to say certain things to certain fighters to get you a lot more energy to go out there for that next round.
Yeah, it all depends on the fights, as you say. Sometimes, you just need motivation, like the Teddy Atlas speech. You're a fireman, put out the fire. Sometimes you just need words like that. And I remember last week in China, there was a fighter. Who was it? I forget. And they weren't doing much. And the cornerman was like, "Is this what you've come here to do? You got to go out there and you've got to fight, man. You're not fighting. You've got to fight. Come on." Sometimes you need that, or sometimes there might be a glaringly obvious mistake that you're doing that you don't realize. Like a good example would be me at UFC 100 when I was circling into Dan Henderson's power hand. You know what I mean? So they were like, "What are you doing? You're going the wrong way. You keep going the wrong way." I still would have got knocked out anyway, but still, that's where cornermen can really come in handy. I don't like it when cornermen get too overly specific and they overload the fighter with, and they start just barking. Super technical instructions. Okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you do your 20 to your 6, and you blah, blah, blah. You need to move to the left and take a step back, and then you counter with the right hand. Then you're going to rip to the body, you're going to block, you're going to go with the right hook. Okay, got it. Okay, and it's like the guy's heartbeat's going 160 BPM. They've just had the shit kicked out of them. They're absolutely exhausted. They can't even breathe. They are not listening
just giving them a monologue. Yeah. So there's no need for that. You know what I mean? Because ultimately you're going to fight to a certain degree how you're going to fight. But if you're making mistakes, they can point that out. They can give you encouragement. They can give you, technical inputs. Hey, remember in training camp, we were saying this. Remember, come on, you got to do that. That's what we worked on, and just remind them of the game plan and the strategy. So thank you very much. Brian, do we have one more?
We sure do. We got one from Adam.
What's going on, guys? Quick question for Mike and Paul. Have you ever been in the scenario where, let's say, you're the next fight up on the card, you're in the back getting ready to walk out soon, and the fight right before you, one of the guys gets sparked unconscious, absolutely flatlined, and you have to see that right before you're going out to fight. Does that bother you at all, or are you able to maintain a clear mindset, having just seen that and kind of knowing that could possibly be you out there? Really curious to hear your perspective on the mentality of that. Let me know. Huge fan of the show, and you, Harrington.
Yeah, I've got a really good example of this happening. UFC 110, London. I was fighting Akiyama. Dan Hardy was fighting Carlos Condit. He was co-main event. We had the same locker room. He goes out there. Carlos Condit and Dan Hardy both throw a left hook at the same time. They both connect. Condit gets a bit wobbled. Dan Hardy gets flatlined and knocked out unconscious. I see it happen on TV. Then Dan Hardy walks into the changing room right before I go out, and I'm like trying to give him words of encouragement. He did not know what day of the week it was. He didn't know where it was or whatever, and it's like, it's those moments, whether they've been knocked out or not, when like you're sharing a locker room and another guy comes in and they're covered in blood and shit. Yep. You're like, now it's my turn.
Yep.
Now it's my turn to go out there. Shit.
That's a really good question, because it affects you. I don't care who you are. Yeah. When those guys come back right before, or you're watching and somebody gets absolutely just flatlined or really badly injured from some armbar or something breaks, and you're like, oh, I don't want to go out there and do, well, what am I doing here? I've had so many of those where the guy right before me comes out and because you kind of like pass each other too. You're trying to stay in the zone, but they're dragging them out past to bring them to medical, and you're seeing all that. It's like, oh man. Although I'm sure I've been the bloody bastard that's come back for some people too, with my eyebrow hanging off my face, and they're probably thinking, shit, I don't want to fight.
Yeah, it's a crazy sport. Well, listen, thank you guys. If you're here, if you're watching this, we appreciate the support, and we apologize for taking a little hiatus, but it was needed. But I thought we came back and we delivered a pretty good bloody episode, Paul. I don't know what you think, but I enjoyed myself.
It was good. It went by quick. I mean, that's an hour and 45-ish with
solid.
Giving them a good one. We didn't come in here and shortchange it.
We'll be back on Monday to talk about, no doubt, down until knocking out Luke Rockhold and much, much more. Questions, send them into bympod@gmail.com. You guys take care. All the best.